Welcome to the NBA Now and Then, 50, 40, 90 interview series.
Hey guys, it's Uriah from NBA Now and Then, the greatest comparisons, and we are getting closer and closer to our season 2 full of amazing NBA star comparisons. In the meantime, we have a special guest from our 50, 40, 90 interview series where we have conversations with some of the most talented figures across the basketball landscape. With me today is one of the top basketball writers and hoop analysts around. I'm here with Christopher Kline. What's happening, Chris?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing better now that I'm reconnected with you. We're hanging out again like we used to do back in the day. Why don't you tell everyone how we met, Chris? I'm curious. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh, well, you used to write, obviously, for the Sixer Sense back when I was site expert. And you pretty much reached out and were like, hey, do you guys want any help with this podcast that you're not doing a very good job with?
Oh, wait a minute.
Like, yeah, we probably need some help.
Wait a minute. Well, let me back this up. Hold on. First of all, don't gloss over the fact that you were the site expert. He's like, oh, I wrote for the Sixer Sense, but pretty much every article that I submitted to Fansided went through Chris, and he did a hell of a job editing, offering guidance. And, you know, I'm like almost old enough to be your dad, but you are so much further ahead than I was at your age. So kudos to you. But yeah, back to me telling you that you needed help. I did volunteer. How did we do, though? We did pretty good, though, right?
We did pretty good. We did a lot better after you were on board. That's for sure.
So just real quick before we get into some questions and obviously our NBA draft time machine, which comes a little bit later. Chris, he's a staff writer for Fansided. And I'm telling you, he's one of the most prolific writers that I know. He's very consistent with his style. He's accurate with his takes. He gives some really great information, not just about the NBA. He does NFL, he does MLB, but most significantly, he's really, really good at drafting, or at least creating draft analysis. So there officially is your intro, Chris. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. This is kind of weird because we're used to like hyper fixating on the Sixers and complaining about coaches and players not stepping up. But really right now, Chris, it's about you, my man. So let's go back to your journey. Let's focus on hoops. Tell us about your NBA fandom. Who is your squad right now and why?
Well, I mean, you've pretty much hinted at it. I'm a Sixers fan. The why is pretty simple too. I applied to all 30 individual NBA team sites once upon a time at the Fansided network when I was, I believe, a senior or a junior in high school. And I was like, whatever team they put me with, I'll be happy. They put me with the Sixers. Here I am now, 8 tortured years later. Yeah, you know, sometimes I think, like, what would my life be like if they had put me with, like, the Hornets or some team that doesn't seem quite as stressful. But they put me with the Sixers, which was, I guess, good from the standpoint of there's always been a lot to write about with the Sixers. They've never really been short on storylines and interesting topics. But, yeah, I mean, I love the Sixers. I'm glad it happened this way. And, yeah, I'm still writing with them. So hopefully they can do something this year. That's my hopes and dreams.
The suffering has been real for Chris. I mean, all the drafts that you've broken down and the trades that you've reported, I feel your pain as a Sixers fan. Now, you're a great writer. You are also into the film industry, which we can get into later if you want. But my question has to do with your specific penchant for writing. What is it about writing about the teams that you cover? Not just Sixers, but all teams.
I think I got into basketball writing specifically really like freshman year of high school, just on different like Facebook pages. I just started my own, would write on different people's. I just kind of got sucked into that community. And I like never go on Facebook anymore. So this is like a new era that we live in now.
Telling
I
your
don't
age
think
right now.
I don't think it would be quite as fun now. But so yeah, I mean, I just kind of got into it in high school as a thing. Freshman year of high school, I went to this really advanced math and science, like STEM charter school, and I
Right.
very quickly realized that was not for me. I spent a lot of like chemistry classes, kind of like scrolling on my computer, typing about LeBron James or whatever.
Right.
So that's how I got into it. I love basketball. I like sports. It's a really fun thing to engage with. I've been writing forever. I used to write little books and stuff when I was a kid, short stories. Most of them were just like blatant ripoffs of Percy Jackson or something along those lines. I don't know if any of them were of substantial quality. I've just been writing forever. It's always been something that I like to do. I've always liked sports. I was really into baseball as a kid. I have a gazillion baseball cards up in the attic. Kind of made the transition to basketball, around high school, and now I'm doing all of it at once here at Fansided. So, yeah, I just like sports. I like writing. So you combine the two, you're writing about sports.
Man,
And,
it took me quite some time to kind of fall into that perfect fold of your passion for sports and writing. I didn't start writing with Fansided until 2020. But it's interesting how you narrowed down this path to, all right, I know I'm not good at science, so I might as well go on Facebook and write some articles on LeBron James. So that's interesting. I did not know that part of your journey, Chris. I'm glad I'm asking you that question. And it gives me something else to pick on you on in our Twitter chat room.
That's right.
Yeah. So let me ask you about, because I think you kind of mentioned your journey. You submitted some, I guess, audition articles to all 30 teams, and that's how you got into Fansided?
Yeah. I had written for maybe one or two sites before I got to Fansided. The first site I ever wrote for was called Hoop Stuff. It was like part of the Yard Barker network.
Stuff. Okay.
I do not believe Hoop Stuff still exists. It is, I believe, not a website anymore. So all that stuff is lost to time.
Yeah.
But so I had written a few things. I had kind of gotten to the point where I was writing articles, and then Fansided wasn't, like a financial opportunity at the time, but it was a bigger platform.
Right.
So I just kind of applied. I sent in a few articles, and I clicked the box for all 30 NBA teams. And
you landed on the Sixers.
Really glad I landed on the Sixers. I mean, I've met some great people through that site that kind of helped me move up and get better at this thing. So it was really fortunate on my part to land there.
Yeah.
I was at the Sixers since, I believe, around 2016, around my senior year of high school. And when I graduated about a year later, so maybe it was junior year, graduated right after I graduated, right around when I turned 18, I took over as site expert. I guess Josh Wilson, who was there before me, moved on to the .com team. Flash forward 7, 8 years, he was my boss here at Fansided for a little bit. So it's been a nice journey.
Yeah, meeting great people along the way, writing great content for Philly fans and whatever fans that read your stuff today. I just find it interesting that you mentioned, was it Hoops Hype or Hoops?
It's Hoop Stuff.
Hoop Stuff. I've heard of it, but it's some of these blogs, they just can't sustain themselves for whatever reason. But Fansided has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fansided is pretty prolific. They have, I think there's like 300 plus sites in the network, plus the main site. So
yeah, the sites,
a lot going
as
on,
well as that we know podcasts. So I think Fansided was brilliant to add that element to their business model, and now Fansided it's got its own engine. So let me ask you about some of your colleagues or peers. We read each other's stuff, and the higher up you are, the more exposure you get. So whether it's ESPN, The Athletic, or some of the bigger or maybe not big sites, who are some other NBA writers that you enjoy reading?
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably not going to have any super duper deep cuts here. I mean, obviously, like Zach Lowe's a big one for I think most people at ESPN. I like a lot of the Ringers stuff. I've been a Kevin O'Connor reader for a while. His draft board I always get a lot out of. I know it's kind of a hot topic in certain draft circles, but I think it's a nice like catch-all document and a good way for people to get into the draft. But yeah, Sam Vicente, a lot of the athletic guys, more local to Philly, you know, Derek Bodner, this guy we've talked to in the past. He's always great. Kyle Newbeck, Adam Aronson, a lot of the Philly guys I really love. So yeah, I mean, I try to read as much as I can. I think that's like an important part of being a writer is you also have to read.
Be honest, do you like reading your own stuff?
Not really.
Really?
No,
okay.
I mean,
right.
I do it every now and then just to make sure it makes like I always like obviously proofread everything before I submit. So I read it out of necessity, but I don't like go back to it. Generally speaking, maybe with some of the draft stuff, like I'll go back to my boards just to reference, you know, where I've been. That's kind of an evolving thing all year long. But normally, if I write like a random article about the Phillies, I'm not like looking back at it a week later just to see what I was.
Yeah, sometimes you look back and be like, I wrote that, and it could be kind of a dubious response to your own writing. And I do that by accident sometimes. I wonder what I wrote about Ben Simmons 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think one of my first articles at the Sixer Sense was Ben Simmons related. I think at the time I was a big Jamal Murray fan, which I feel very vindicated now because that was took a while, but that was the correct take in the long run.
Yes.
So
there's some other drafts picks that could be moved around, but we'll get into that later. Now, you've been covering the NBA for quite some time. Obviously, Philly is kind of your market, but just the NBA itself, like, what is it about this league that is so captivating, not just domestically, but as we all saw in the Olympics, it's an international game now. What is it about covering the NBA that you really enjoy?
I mean, it starts with basketball, obviously. That's just my favorite sport to watch personally. I think it's a great product, and the NBA is the best of that product. So I just love basketball, like simple enough. But as far as like the writing goes, there's always so much happening in the NBA. There's never really like a dead period. I guess we're sort of in the quote unquote dead period now, and there's still plenty to write about, whether we're looking forward or stuff that might happen.
Right.
Rumor mills, that kind of thing. So there's always stuff happening. There's a lot of drama in the NBA. It does have that kind of soap opera quality every now and then, especially in Philly. That makes it very fun and sometimes painful to engage with.
Right.
I find basketball the most enjoyable of the sports. I love football as much as the next guy. I've really gotten back into baseball. I think baseball is super cool, but I'm a basketball guy, and I think the NBA is just, there are, of course, valid complaints about how certain things are marketed or how the league runs, but it's a really great product. There are a lot of great players in the league right now.
Right.
So it's pretty easy to write about when they got.
Don't mention officiating. The officiating in the NBA is perfect. Don't ever criticize the guys in the white and black stripes. Anyway, so look, I agree. I love football, baseball. I'm even into hockey. I don't know the game as much as I do hoops, but it's just something, Chris, about a sport that you can show up to a gym and, 3 hours of your day, you meet a bunch of guys and maybe you become friends later, maybe you don't, but it's just like that court is a refuge, and it's so easy to just meet people, like football is like, all right, you join a flag football league, right? But other than that, you can't really just have a pickup game. So I think that's one of the reasons why I love basketball so much.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about the Olympics, Chris. I'm very curious. Obviously, the United States took home the gold. They handed basically France the silver medal, and Serbia, well, not going to go there with you, with who. But my question to you is, What did you think of the Olympics as a whole?
I very positive experience. I mostly watched the basketball. I can't say I was like super tuned into every other event. I did watch a little bit of like rugby.
Right?
That's such a crazy sport. That
You think?
I've never really watched rugby. That just blew my mind. Sidebar, but yeah, rugby just. Maybe I should write about rugby. If there are any rugby blogs,
Does Fansided have a rugby
I
channel
don't
already?
think so, but
You
I'm
should
happy to
spearhead
start
that.
one.
Yeah.
I'll be the guy there. I'll dive head first. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty compelling stuff on the basketball front. Obviously, especially with the men's team, there were a lot of very close games, which is just more fun to watch than Team USA like stomping someone by 40 points, which hasn't been happening as much recently. Which is, I don't know, maybe not nice depending on where your like rooting interests are, how much you want to be like a sports patriot. But
Right.
it was good basketball, and I had a good time watching it.
Yeah. The Serbia game, the game that went down to the wire, the United States came back. Let's talk about that game. I'm like, what was your like? It was close at the end because they had made a run, but what do you remember from that game?
Well, I mean, Serbia has this really tall guy who's really good at basketball. I forget the exact numbers, but the on-off split for Jokic in that game in like the 8 minutes that he sat down was pretty insane. I think like we're probably gonna dive into this. Like I think it's getting more balanced as far as the competition goes. Obviously, the U.S. in terms of star power outclasses everyone there by a pretty solid margin, but these teams have continuity and connectivity in a way that the
true.
U.S. national team is just never going to have. And now that those teams do have, like Jokic, who's straight up the best player in the world, Giannis is with the Greek team. Guys like Joel, if he can play for Cameroon the next time around, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but like that kind of thing is going to be happening more frequently. We're having more and more great players from different parts of the world. So these tournaments are going to get a lot closer, and the U.S. is going to be on its back foot a lot more, kind of trying to defend these teams off. So,
well, actually, my question. Actually, I have one more question before I get to that. I just want to get your take on the Steph Curry fourth quarter against France. Like, what was going through your head in those final 4 minutes when he was hitting those shots?
I don't know if it was anything too profound. Just like appreciation, Steph's amazing. I'm glad he got this moment on that stage. He seems to really seems like it meant a lot to him, which is nice. Like obviously, if we want to think 4 years down the line, Steph, LeBron, Durant, there's a good chance those guys just aren't on the next version of this team. So it's kind of like a going away event. So it's really special. Obviously, Steph deserves it. He's an amazing player, has had an amazing career, and it's pretty incredible how good he still is in his mid-30s. We talk about LeBron Durant all the time, but Steph is 6'3" in his mid-30s, and he's still one of the 5-10 best players in the world, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
So he deserves a ton of credit.
I agree with the whole. Their chances of coming back in 4 years is slim. So appreciate it now. The greatness of Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, just seeing those three in the court at the same time during the Olympics this past summer, I was awestruck. I was like, we're never going to see this again. And it was a great experience. So let's talk a little bit more about the Olympics, or at least the international landscape. How competitive these nations have become. Honest question. How likely is it that another country will overtake America's throne as the top basketball nation in the world? How likely is that?
That's a tough question. I don't think it really depends on how you define it. I think there's a very real chance that in the next handful of Olympic cycles that Team USA will lose at some point. I don't know if that means they're not the top basketball country in the world anymore, but I do think the odds of them losing are going to steadily increase with each 4 years, each couple years. They didn't obviously win at the World Championships that long ago. So like that kind of stuff is going to happen more often. especially if they don't get all the top players to show up like they did this cycle. I again, like the talent gap between Team USA and the other teams is still pretty significant,
Right.
especially at least in terms of depth. Maybe not the best players up top, but in terms of like 6 through 12, I don't think the US is going to be losing that battle anytime soon. But again, like the connectivity part of it is really important. These European teams are playing together every 2, 3, 4 years on this stage. They know each other really well. That's just not really happening with the best US players. So I think in terms of like fundamentals and teamwork and that sort of stuff, the US definitely is at a disadvantage. So I think that's really where the playing field evens out.
Yeah. I think a lot of that FIBA play, the US team, I think they're trying to learn from past mistakes and making sure that there is some type of cohesion, that these guys just don't drop in the middle of the Olympics without ever playing with each other. But I know some players decline, like I think Anthony Edwards had some choice words for if he was going to play summer ball next year. Did you hear that?
Mm-mm.
He basically was like, I think he said, hell no, if he's playing.
Sounds right.
Real quick, Anthony Edwards, would you agree that he could be the face of the league in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the best player in the league, but in terms of like popularity and marketability, he's going to be up there for sure.
He's doing Chipotle commercials now, and he has a really nice Adidas campaign going on his behalf. So, yeah, I think I can agree with that, Chris. The best player in the league, there's so much talent. It's maybe hard. It might be a stretch to make him number one, but marketability and likability is something that he has to his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, get ready for the NBA Now and Then Draft Time Machine.
Chris, welcome to the NBA Draft Time Machine. We've had 4 other guests play this. At some point, we're going to chop them all up, put them together so each of you can hear everybody else's take on who they would pick. So here's how it works. You get 2 NBA stars from different eras, and they're in the same draft class, and they're projected to go first and second. For fun, Chris, if you were guaranteed that both players could have a decade-long career of equally good health, who would you pick? You ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right, our first comparison. By the way, all of these comparisons are features in our archive of podcast episodes, NBANowandThen.com. You can check them out. We're on Spotify, and obviously we're on Apple. But let's go into this with Chris. Who would you pick, Chris? Devin Booker or Gilbert Arenas?
I have a bad feeling that this is going to skew in the young folk direction, but I got to go Devin Booker. Obviously, Gilbert Arenas was an amazing player and an amazing athlete, but in terms of just how well-rounded Booker is, I mean, we saw it in the Olympics. This is a guy who can score 70 points in a game, but when he needs to be a role player and just hit spot threes and defend and connect dots, he's really good at that too.
Okay.
Just in terms of like adaptability and how well-rounded his skill set is, I'm going to go with Devin Booker.
All right, fair enough. How about this one? Jason White Chocolate Williams or LaMelo Ball?
This one is tough because LaMelo's been hurt so much, and we don't really know what like the prime of his career is going to look like. I would say that LaMelo, just size, skill, he's probably obviously Jason Williams, like skill, like in terms of ball handling and just pure creativity, no one's going to touch that guy, but LaMelo has a skill of his own in terms of processing the floor and creating for teammates and kind of doing his own LaMelo thing. I'd probably go with LaMelo again. We'll see if he ever like gets healthy enough. He's only 22, so he has so much time to. There are going to be different phases of his career. How long does he stay in Charlotte? How does that team evolve? There's so much unknown about LaMelo right now,
right?
With how his first few years have gone. But I would think, at least in terms of ceiling, that LaMelo's is much higher.
All right, that's fair. Definitely has room to grow. And let's move on to the next comparison. Both players are pretty tough guys. multi-skilled, both have championship rings. But who would you pick over who, Chris? Draymond Green or Ron Artest, a.k.a. Metta World Peace?
Obviously, like, Ron Artest is a dude. He was a really amazing player. I'm old enough to have seen some Ron Artest in my
right
days. So I have a real appreciation for Ron Artest, but I think in terms, again, like, Golden State is kind of a dynasty, and Draymond maybe was not the face of that dynasty. You know, Steph obviously was. Durant was there for a couple of years, but he was so essential to one of maybe the best team we've ever seen. He kind of like revolutionized the game in his own ways. I think Draymond has really changed how we view defense, especially from that like power forward center spot. Small ball,
true,
as a concept is really, we owe a lot of that to Draymond.
Okay.
And even just in terms of the resume, like Draymond's got him beat. So I got to go with Draymond. He's getting a little annoying these last couple of years. that like heel turn has happened, but you got to go with Draymond.
Okay, all right. I've heard people say that Artest has the slight edge because he's a better shooter, but to your point, he did kind of change how defenses were played with power forward for center, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this next one. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. Penny Hardaway. Remember, prime Penny Hardaway, 10 years.
Yeah.
Equally good health to a really great guard doing big things in OKC. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Who would you pick? Surprise me.
You know, this is again, like, Penny Hardaway is awesome. I don't want to just keep picking the young guys. Penny Hardaway was an amazing player. Penny Hardaway,
you're biased.
Incredible. Penny Hardaway has never, like, Penny Hardaway's career high for a season was 21 points, 7 assists. Shai just did 31, 32 almost, and around that, as not the main assist guy on his team, and he's one of the best defensive guards in the league. And he's still on the come up. Obviously, we don't know like the longevity factor. Hardaway had a like pretty condensed window there at the beginning of his career where he was really special.
Yeah,
I think there's a good chance that Shai has a longer window, in addition to him being such like a two-way force. So, I mean, I would say that Shai right now is like one of the 5 best players in the world. I'm not sure Penny ever quite got there. So I gotta go with Shai. I'm sorry to do it, but.
I will add one little detail. So there was a point in the NBA, it might have been 1995, 96, or 96, 97, where all NBA first team in the backcourt, you had Michael Jordan. You know who the other guy was? Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
So that tells you that he was up there, and he had 10 years of good health. And by the way, those averages, that's a good point. He did average like right above 20. He's playing with Shaq, so that's true. You put Shaq next to SGA,
and look, obviously, like, scoring totals are inflated now compared to what they were when Penny was playing. Like, that's just kind of the nature of the game. So I'm sure Penny probably would have had his 30-point season too. But I think in terms of like all around, like again, the defense of Shai, I think, is so underrated. He's one of the best defensive guards in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's just an insane player.
Yeah.
Such a crazy, like, shot maker, creator in his own right. Obviously, Penny was as well. Shai's a different kind of athlete who kind of works on his own tempo.
Right.
But yeah, it's close. Penny's awesome, but I still got to go with Shai.
Okay. I agree with the defense. He is a juggernaut on defense. Speaking of defense, this may seem a little lopsided because one guy has a few more awards. But, again, people, remember, I'm giving you 10 years of fully good health. You got to consider that. All right, Giannis Antetokounmpo or Shawn Kemp?
Again, Shawn Kemp's amazing. You can't not pick Giannis here. I feel like, I mean, Giannis is going to go down as one of the 20 best players we've ever seen in the sport. He's already a 2-time MVP. He has time to add to that. In his own right, one of the best defensive players of his generation. Shawn Kemp, amazing in many of the same ways, but in terms of just pure dominance and how Giannis's like skill set has evolved over these years, you just have to go with Giannis. But
okay, that's what everyone else says, and
and
that's the right pick. But Sean Kemp, man, he was such an athlete and underrated skills. I mean, the guy could really handle the rock. But here's where I think the streak might get broken right here: Jamal Murray or Darren Williams.
Yeah, I gotta go with Darren Williams.
Okay. Yeah. Why are you going Darren Williams? I'm curious.
I mean, Jamal's awesome.
That's your guy.
I love Jamal. Like I said, I was a Jamal truther from the very beginning. Obviously, he's a champion now.
Yeah.
D-Will never got to that point, but Jamal has also, I think, benefited is not a word, benefited quite extensively from playing next to Nikola Jokic, who makes everyone around him
a little bit better.
Quite a bit better. D-Will was, I think, a more prolific, like, self-creator, setting up teammates, that kind of thing, in addition to some of the crazy shot making. So, you got to go Darren Williams.
Okay. Fair enough. I would actually go with him, too. He's got a little bit more size on Murray, I think, and the handles that Darren Williams had. Yeah. Oh, Darren. All right, this next one. Two very comparable players. The skill set off the charts. Whatever they lack athletically, they make up with their wit and their instinct on the court. I'm talking about Luka Doncic or Larry Bird. 10 years, equally good health. Who are you going with?
I mean, I think you kind of have to say Larry Bird. I think this is a really compelling one, though. I think there's a pretty strong case for Luka. I think Luka is special in his own right, just in terms of the strength and the creativity and his ability to create advantages with his handle.
Yeah.
Larry Bird, 3-time All-Defense, not something that Luka's ever going to have on his resume, unfortunately. There's plenty of time for Luka to win a championship. I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact that Larry has won a few.
Yeah.
So shooting, Larry's a better shooter. If we want to think about how Larry Bird might have looked in today's NBA, I think.
Oh man.
Probably inflate some of those numbers a bit. So I think you have to go with Larry Bird. But okay. I do think it's close, and I think maybe 15 years down the line, we might have different perspectives based on what Luke is able to accomplish. Because Luke is one of the most absurd talents to come into the league in a long time.
Yeah.
So
I think still young. And he's still young too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good call. How about two centers? One probably modeled his game a little bit after his predecessor, but Joel Embiid or Hakeem Olajuwon? Who would you go with?
This is tough. So you're saying that they get 10 years of guaranteed perfect health?
Guaranteed perfect health.
That's so hard to imagine with Joel because he's literally never been healthy in the playoffs. So
this is fantasy. That's why we do this.
Yeah. I mean, I think Joel is kind of Hakeem. Learned a lot from Hakeem offensively and kind of juiced it up and expanded out to the 3-point line.
Oh yeah.
I think offensively Joel's one of the best pure I think he still leads the league in points per minute ever.
Yeah.
Joel is quite literally one of the best scorers we've ever seen. You can complain all you want about how he gets those points. Or the free throw stuff during the Knicks series was so annoying to me.
Free throw merchant.
Jalen Brunson do far more egregious things, in my opinion. That's beside the point. But Joel is one of the great scorers of all time. So I think you have to hand it to Joel offensively. That might be sacrilege in certain circles. I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
Defensively, Hakeem, Joel's an amazing defender. Joel's probably one of the 10 most impactful defenders in the league. Maybe one of the 5 most when he's really locked in.
Yeah.
You have to give Hakeem the defensive edge. And obviously we can envision what Hakeem does with a healthy postseason, maybe better than we can with Joel. I think Joel took a while. I think we are at the point right now where if Joel had a healthy postseason, I'm pretty confident that Philly could go really far.
Yeah.
I think he had some real non-health issues kind of early in his career in terms of how he handled higher pressures on defense, the double teams, the turnovers. I think he's grown a lot these last few years.
Okay.
Where I'm not as concerned. The passing has gotten way better. So it's tough. I mean, I'm tempted just to roll with Joel because that's my guy, and it's
well, you got I'm giving you 10 years of good health.
That's defined the last 8 years of my life. It's gonna
be decisive. You go with Embiid.
This is a fake fantasy game. It doesn't actually matter. This doesn't have any implications on real life. So I'm gonna say Joel.
There you go.
But I have a lot of respect for Hakeem. Some people are going to think that's disrespectful.
No.
Who cares?
Joel will knock down more threes, and Hakeem won't even be on Twitter. So
that's right. So I'm fine.
Speaking of social media, Kyrie Irving or Pistons Isiah Thomas?
I'm going with Isiah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I've watched that.
Good answer.
Good answer. On ESPN a couple times. I have affinity for that team. Isaiah's much better at elevating teammates. Way, 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 way better on defense. Kyrie has all the great skill stuff. Won a championship with LeBron. I get it, but I'm not 100% convinced that Kyrie is really anywhere close to Isiah Thomas's level. So
okay.
I'm
enough.
writing IT all the way there.
Okay. All right, that would actually be my pick. All right, two really clutch players. Put the ball in their hands. Either one will knock it down. But the question is, if you had to draft one or the other, who are you going with? Reggie Miller or Damian Lillard?
I think this is interesting. Obviously, Reggie was kind of before his time in a way. I think, again, trying to project forward or how would Reggie Miller look in 2024, I think teams know how to make use of that skill set more effectively than they did when he was in his prime. I'm going to roll with Dame. Obviously, just more on-ball juice. Lillard's off-the-dribble shooting is one of the great skills of the last 10 years. I know he's been talking lately about how he's underappreciated, and obviously he hasn't had the postseason success, but I do think there's some truth to he's one of the best shooters we've ever seen, and he doesn't really get that credit because we all talk about Steph and Clay, which is fair.
Yeah.
But Dame is really special in his own way. Obviously, Reggie has more size and is probably a much better defender. So I think you could go either way here, but I'm going to roll with Dame. Yeah,
it's a toss-up. The height and the defense with Reggie, but then Dame can do more. He can facilitate. He's a good passer. How about let's go to Beantown. Pick one or the other.
Paul Pierce. I'm sorry.
Oh,
you didn't even say it yet.
Well, Jason Tatum or Paul Pierce. So is this just Celtic hate for Tatum? Or
Paul Pierce was on the Celtics, but yes, it's absolutely. Look, Tatum, 12th man on Team USA. We can be honest.
Ooh, okay.
When's the last time he was hitting jumpers consistently? Tatum's really good. He's one of the 10 best players in the world.
Right.
Most of this is just me joking around because the Celtics irk me to no end. But
right.
Boston was really a collective effort. Couldn't even win Finals MVP. I mean, he lost Finals MVP to Jaylen Brown, who can't dribble with his left hand. So, again, jokes. But I mean, Paul Pierce, one of the great scorers of the last few decades.
He's clutch. He's just clutch. He's clutch too.
I'm way more confident with Paul Pierce.
Okay.
Being my guy on offense, especially if the team around him isn't perfectly engineered like this version of the Celtics with Tatum is. Obviously, you got to play with Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen when they won, and Rondo. That team was pretty.
That was a good team
as well. But I'm rolling with prime Paul Pierce over what I've seen from prime Tatum. Maybe that changes. Tatum's probably a better defender. Tatum's really good.
Yeah.
So maybe perspective changes over time, and I'm able to be less blinded by irritation. But
Pierce is a popular pick, Chris. So
I'm going with Pierce for now.
Yeah, he's popular. He's clutch, and he's tough. He's a tough guy. How about two lefties? We have Nick Van Exel or De'Aaron Fox.
This is a good one. I mean, I think just in terms of like ceiling, I'd probably go with Fox.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've seen like De'Aaron improve so much since he got into the league. That, like, shooting has been. He was really not a shooter when he got into the league, and now he's like a really prime pull-up threat. He can space the floor. Obviously, the speed is just off the charts.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm leaning Foxy, but it could go either way. I think this is a good one.
All right. All right, the next one, much maligned, the Frenchman, Rudy Gobert. Can't knock his awards, though. The guy got a lot of defensive player of years. Or Dikembe Mutombo. Who are you going with? You like Gobert? I forgot. That's your guy.
Yeah,
that is your guy.
I don't know if my guy. I don't want to claim. I don't know if I really care about Rudy Gobert, the person. But I at least understand and appreciate how good he's been. I'm gonna go with Dikembe. Just
what? Okay, tell it. Yeah,
like,
okay.
They have the. I'm going with Dikembe. They're both very similar in terms of resume. Obviously, Dikembe maybe got a bit further in the playoffs in his career at certain points.
That's true.
I think this is really close. I mean, these are like two of the best defensive centers in league history. I think you could flip a coin, really. I might be wrong, but I'll go with Dikembe.
Yeah, this comparison episode, Chris, first of all, it went over two hours long. Usually we wrap it up hour and a half, hour 40 change. But for some reason, because they're so similar, both of these players. And numbers-wise, it's one of our most popular episodes in terms of downloads. I think in the other, we did a comparison with Dwight Howard to Jaren Jackson. For some reason, they're very popular episodes. I don't know why. Maybe people are fascinated by their defense, but I think Mutombo he's the popular pick. This one, I think, is one of the toughest comparisons. Or picks. Who would you pick over who? James Harden or Allen Iverson?
I'm pretty much not going to be allowed to visit Philly anymore, so
why not?
I feel bad, but I think you have to say it's James Harden.
He played for the Sixers. I mean, it wasn't his fault he left, according to him.
Well,
according to him.
I mean, look, AI was an amazing player and like one of the all-time icons of the sport. And in terms of like who we're going to be talking about 50 years from now when we look back through like old rickety game tape of the NBA, it's probably going to be AI. But
yeah,
James was like in Houston. Obviously, that team was really engineered around him in a special way. But like, I don't think people really give James his due for how good he was on those Rockets teams. Like, there were times there where you could have convinced me that he was behind LeBron, like the best player in the world. Like James, offensively, at his peak, is one of the great scorers we've ever seen. I mean,
unstoppable.
AI's amazing, but in terms of like efficiency and maximizing his shot profile and all that stuff, James is on another level, and he's like creating at such a high level for teammates.
Yeah, that too.
Neither of them were like the world's greatest defenders. AI put a lot more effort in and is by far the better on-ball guy just because of how hard he tried. But like, you gotta give it to James. As much as I love Allen Iverson, I don't want to like not give AI his flowers. But
I think a lot of true basketball fans would not be able to pinpoint that quickly because both players, like you said, are iconic. Defensively, Iverson, I mean, he was always in the top 3 of steals when he played in his prime. But Harden, his offensive proficiency or being prolific, the scorer he was with Houston, people forget that. And now he's the best passers in the entire league, so he can do it all. So I'm not mad at that pick. How about a player who just retired and a player who really took a huge leap in the playoffs, being a second-year player? But who would you pick? 10 years of good health, Blake Griffin or Paolo Banchero?
This one is, I think, pretty darn tough. Blake is kind of unique because he went through like a couple phases there. Like obviously in the Clippers phase,
right?
He was one of the best athletes in the league and just dominated by virtue of being more explosive than everybody else. That was not the only like reason he was good, but that was a main facilitating factor. And then he gets, kind of late stage Detroit Pistons, Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Didn't have the athleticism, and he was good. Really awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he evolved in such a cool and interesting way.
Yeah.
I think Paolo is like going into the league with more offensive skill than Blake. He's not quite the same athlete, but he's still 6'10" and absurdly strong and can move really well, and kind of has this like ideal modern archetype. The shooting isn't really where it needs to be yet. He's not the best defender. I think Paolo's maybe a bit rougher around the edges than a lot of people seem to think. I think we've kind of jumped ahead a little bit when like praising Paolo. He's awesome, but I think he still has some things he has to clean up before he's like a proper superstar. But this one's tough. I think I'm partial to Blake more than I am to Paolo, so I'm going to say Blake Griffin.
Okay. Nice.
I could look stupid if Paolo puts all the pieces together.
Okay.
So we'll have this conversation again in 10 years.
Yeah. Or in 10 weeks.
That works too.
Yeah. All right. Player-to-player comparison. This is the last player-to-player. Jalen Brunson or Chauncey Billups?
It's tough. I really have like an agenda against Jalen Brunson at this point.
Okay.
That Knicks team bothers me so much. I have to be honest.
Right.
Chauncey, obviously an amazing player, way better on defense, more size, a little bit more size.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson is amazing. He frustrates me to no end. I hate, like, the experience that all the people online like complaining about Joel flopping or whatever, like this guy's unwatchable. That's how I feel sometimes, or that's how I felt watching Jalen Brunson during that series, at least. Like, man, I can't stand this guy. He's so good at doing this.
Yes, he is.
Like trickster stuff. He's like James Harden drawing fouls.
And he learned that back in college. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, he was so good at using his like strength and changing speeds and just getting people out of position. It's a real like James Harden-esque skill.
Yep.
He's like 6 foot Joel. And I hate him. So I probably have, if Brunson's current arc continues, you probably have to say Brunson, but I think this is close. And I like Chauncey Billups more. I don't have as many negative feelings towards Chauncey Billups.
I knew this was going to be an interesting. I knew this would be an interesting response because you were scratching your hair, and I heard it through the mic. I'm like, uh-oh, what's he about to say here? All right, here's your last comparison for this show, man. We got to clump together some players. Here we go. We compared back in June. We did an episode where we went through the 1984 draft and the 1996 draft. 84, Jordan, Barkley, Olajuwon, John Stockton, players like that. 96, Kobe, Iverson, Ray Allen, Ben Wallace went undrafted, so all those guys. So if you were to pick a draft to start a franchise with, which one would you pick?
I'm picking Michael Jordan and Hakeem. I'm going with 84. I really don't see any way around it. There are a lot of great players in the 96 draft, obviously. Right. Like Kobe, Nash, AI, Ray Allen, Marbury. You're making a really good team there.
Yeah. It's guard heavy. It's guard heavy, the 96.
Yeah,
84, you can make a whole team.
Really, just Stockton, MJ, and Hakeem together is never losing.
That's a big,
Charles, Chuck at the 4. Like, you pretty much got it figured out at that point. So I'm going with 84.
Okay, that seems to be the consensus for people who jump on the fantasy time machine. So, all right, we're now done our comparisons that we did in our first season. Now we have a question for you, Chris. If there was a player comparison that you would like to see of a player retired and a player today, who would you want to be featured?
That's a great question. I think, like, I'm trying to think of, like, who you would want to pair Kevin Garnett with. Just because I think he's, like, such an interesting...
KG is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think KG would have been even more amazing now than he was in his prime. Like, I think the league is in a place where KG's skill set would be super valuable. Maybe we can, like... This is, like, really overshooting Chet Holmgren, but maybe, like, 10 years from now.
Okay.
Chet and KG would be an interesting one.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can even do, like, KG and Joel. Just trying to, like, I think you end up going with Joel there, but, I think just finding someone to compare KG to would be interesting.
Yeah, KG, that's, look, the big ticket, straight out of high school, and he's got his own podcast now. I think it's called KG Certified. Have you seen it?
I've seen clips of it. I haven't listened to an episode.
Yeah. He lets it all. He lets it loose, man. That's all I say.
Yeah,
like all those NBA guys, they have great stories, and you got to believe them because they lived it, right? So, almost at the end, I just want to ask you, Chris, what is coming up for you? Is there anything going on at Fansided for you? Any special articles? Any special appearances? What's coming down the pipe for you?
I'm always working on NBA draft stuff. That's kind of like a year-round beat for me. So hopefully sometime in the near future, I'll start really ramping up with like big boards and early mocks and profiles and that sort of thing, especially once the college basketball season starts up here in a few months. That stuff will be going full speed. So I love doing draft stuff. I'd encourage anyone who's remotely interested in who your team might pick in a year to check that stuff out, because I get a lot of joy out of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm on fansided.com pretty frequently throughout every week. So there's a lot of stuff there for people to read if they want to check it out.
How do they find you? What's your handle on Instagram and Twitter X?
Twitter X is Kline NBA, KLINE NBA. If you go to, I believe it's like fansided.com/author/C-Kline.
Okay.
That'll be my profile.
Okay.
It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
But yeah, or you can just go on the .com page and scroll until you get to something that says Christopher Kline underneath. And that's me. But yeah, more than basketball, a lot of football stuff and baseball stuff this time of year. So any sport thing that you're interested in, there's a decent chance I've written something about it or adjacent to it.
Remember this name, guys, Christopher Kline. Whether he's writing about sports, whether he's going to write a book, whether he's going to write a screenplay and direct his own movie, remember this name. Guarantee you his name's going to pop up somewhere big. So, Chris, thank you for being a guest. Thank you for your comparisons. It's great hanging out with you, seeing you once again. And that being said, the NBA season is upon us. It's going to be here in a few weeks. Our first episode of season 2, the week after the NBA season opens, the Sunday after, we have Anthony Edwards and Dwayne Wade. We also have Grayson Allen and JJ Redick. We have Bam Adebayo, Alonzo Mourning, and we have, Chris, a new series that's going to be exclusive. It's called Legends of the Game. We're comparing David Robinson to Patrick Ewing. We're going to do Bill Russell to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So we got some really great comparisons coming up. So that's enough of our self-plug. Check out Chris, his draft analysis, fansided.com. I'm Uriah with NBA Now and Then, the greatest comparisons, a podcast where we compare NBA stars past to present.